Want to know what Europe does for you? Welcome to the European Parliamentary Research Service podcast on the protection of the EU's external borders.
Securing the EU's external borders is crucial to allow citizens to move freely within the Schengen area while keeping them safe, but the migration crisis exposed serious flaws,
prompting the EU to come up with a series of measures to address these deficiencies and better secure its borders. Want to know more? Stay with us.
On a continent where nations once shed blood to defend their territories, today borders only exist on maps and citizens can move freely from one country to another.
The Schengen area, which consists of 22 EU member states, along with Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland, is encircled by over 42,000 kilometres of sea borders and close to 8,000 kilometres of land borders. Securing these external borders is paramount to maintaining internal security along with freedom of movement. So how does the EU do that?
Well, the Schengen Borders Code lays down common rules on external border crossings. It says who can come in and for how long, and it introduces increased checks on all people crossing the EU's external borders to ensure they do not pose a security risk for fellow citizens.
But the central pillar of the EU's integrated border management is the European Border and Coast Guard, composed of the EU Borders Agency, Frontex and national border authorities, working together on border surveillance issues.
To be more effective in the fight against cross-border crime and to better secure Europe's external borders, national authorities and EU agencies such as Frontex, Europol and Eurojust share information through, among others, the Schengen Information System, the Visa Information System and the European Fingerprint Database, Eurodac. Now, how do these systems work?
Well, let's imagine that a Polish border guard detects a suspicious car trying to cross the border with Ukraine. To either confirm or rule out his suspicions, he can introduce the vehicle's identification number into the Schengen Information System and he'll quickly get the answer.
But the surge in terrorism and serious cross-border crime in the EU exposed the weaknesses of such systems, as not all EU countries are connected to all systems or are ready to share certain types of information with other countries.
Moreover, the unprecedented arrival of refugees and irregular migrants in the EU, which peaked in 2015, affected the functioning of the Schengen rules, leading to the reintroduction of border checks between several member states.
And some of them also set up fences and border walls at the external Schengen borders to prevent migrants and asylum seekers from entering their territory, measures which have been questioned by many on ethical grounds. To
deal with the uncontrolled influx of migrants, the EU also set up hotspot reception facilities in Italy and Greece, with the aim to better coordinate national and European efforts regarding the reception, identification, registration and fingerprinting of asylum seekers and migrants. But they soon came under criticism because they were open and left migrants free to move around.
To address all these shortcomings and better secure its borders, the EU embarked on the gradual establishment and implementation of the European Integrated Border Management System at both national and European level. The idea is to facilitate the crossing of external borders for those who are legally allowed to do so, but to close the doors for those who have no right to enter or stay in the EU.
Another objective is to better prevent and detect cross-border crime, such as migrant smuggling, trafficking in human beings and terrorism. So let's see what the main achievements in the field have been. Stay with us.
In 2016, the EU revised the Schengen Borders Code to carry out more systematic checks on persons crossing the EU's external borders, including those enjoying the right to free movement.
At the same time, the EU strengthened and upgraded the mandates of EU agencies such as Frontex, Europol, the European Asylum Support Office and EU LISA, the European Agency for the Operational Management of Large-Scale IT Systems in the area of freedom, security and justice.
To improve the functioning of the EU's information systems, efforts are made to improve use of the opportunities offered by information systems and technologies for security, criminal records, and border migration management.
This included strengthening existing IT systems such as the Schengen Information System, the Visa Information System, the Eurodac fingerprinting database, and the Criminal Record Information System for non-EU nationals.
But also establishing new systems to cover information gaps such as ETIAS, the new Travel Information Authorization System, which will control visa-exempt third country nationals travelling to the Schengen area, and the new Entry-Exit System that will register both visa-obliged and visa-exempt travellers' data when crossing the Schengen external borders.
The idea is also to increase interoperability between all these different information systems so that knowledge and data can be easily exchanged. Furthermore, the Commission wants to upgrade the European border surveillance system, a common framework for information exchange and cooperation among all border surveillance authorities in the EU. But security is expensive.
Yes, it is. Total commitments for EU funds, decentralised agencies such as Frontex and Europol, and other information exchange systems in the external border areas within the current EU budget have increased from just over €5 billion in the initial allocation in 2014 to nearly €6.5 billion as of April 2018.
The need to deal with the migration crisis also forced the EU to be more creative and flexible in the use of its funds, both inside and outside its budget, and make more money available to deal with emergencies and to help member states in the front line.
So how can we expect things to evolve in the future?
Well, if early in the migration crisis the priority was dealing with the humanitarian emergency and saving lives at sea, the focus at European Council level has gradually shifted to strengthening of the EU's external borders and preventing irregular migrants from reaching European shores, as well as extending Europe's partnership with Africa in order to address the root causes of migration.
And for the moment, this seems to be the line the EU will continue to follow in the future.
Yes, it is, and to continue the process, the Commission has proposed to strengthen the European Border and Coast Guard Agency and provide it with better means and powers to protect the EU's external borders.
Moreover, the developing EU strategy for integrated border management to address the gaps in EU cooperation should result in the expected impacts on limiting irregular migrant flows, reducing organised crime and terrorists, while respecting the fundamental rights of migrants and EU citizens.
What's clear is that migration will remain a challenge for decades to come, so the EU will need to secure enough money to provide technical and financial support to member states, especially those on the borders.
That's why the next EU budget is expected to almost triple allocations for migration-related issues, and it will also include a new financial instrument to support border management and visas as part of a new integrated border management fund, as well as more funds for decentralised agencies.
This integrated fund would finance measures to enhance member states' capacities in the area of common visa policy and in dealing with migratory challenges and potential future threats at external borders, as well as in addressing serious cross-border crime and keeping EU citizens safe.
Although the share of EU citizens who see current EU involvement in the protection of external borders as adequate has grown, it will take more continued efforts and concrete results to increase public support for stronger EU action in this field.
You're listening to the European Parliamentary Research Service podcasts.